Imagine this: a group of employees walks into work every day, barely noticing the janitor who keeps the building spotless. To them, he's invisible, just a man in a uniform. But instead of showing respect, they mock him, laugh behind his back, and even sabotage his work. Why? Because they think he's powerless. Just another person they can look down on. What they don't know is that the man they're bullying holds a secret so big it could change everything about their lives. Beneath the janitor's humble appearance lies the truth: they're not just working in the same building as him, they're working for him. He owns the entire property they treat like their playground. What happens when the tables turn? When the person they've ridiculed steps out of the shadows and reveals the truth? Stick around to find out how this shocking story unfolds. You won't believe how justice is served. The janitor's day started like any other. Dressed in his standard blue uniform, he arrived early, well before the first employees trickled in. He took pride in his work, not because he had to, but because it reflected who he was: meticulous, hard-working, and grounded. As he pushed the mop across the gleaming floors of the lobby, his thoughts drifted to the people who worked here, particularly the ones who seemed to take pleasure in making his life harder. There were 3 of them, always together, laughing at their own jokes and making loud, snide remarks whenever he was within earshot. One of them, the ringleader, often went out of his way to drop coffee cups or wrappers on the floor right after he'd cleaned the area. "Hey, you missed a spot," he'd say, smirking as his friends burst into laughter. The janitor would bite his tongue, his face betraying no emotion, and quietly clean up the mess. They took his silence for weakness. What the bullies didn't know was that this building was more than just a workplace to him. It was part of a legacy. Years ago, he'd inherited it from his late father, who had built the business from the ground up. The janitor's true identity was hidden behind layers of corporations and management firms. To the outside world, he was just the guy with the mop. He chose this role to stay connected to the building's day-to-day life, to understand its people and their struggles. What he hadn't expected was to encounter such blatant cruelty. As days turned into weeks, the bullies grew bolder. One afternoon, they set up a prank, spilling a large cup of soda in the middle of the lobby just as the janitor arrived. "Oops. Guess that's your job," one of them sneered, feigning innocence. His friends roared with laughter, recording the incident on their phones. The janitor calmly retrieved his cleaning supplies, ignoring the phones pointed at him. Inside, he was boiling. It wasn't just about him, it was about the lack of respect, the sheer disregard for another human being. But this wasn't the time to react. He had a plan, one that required patience. For now, he played his part. Meanwhile, the janitor wasn't the only one noticing the bullies' behavior. A young intern, new to the company, had witnessed their antics and felt uneasy. She admired the janitor's quiet dignity and couldn't understand why her colleagues treated him so poorly. One day, she approached him while he was cleaning. "Hi, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for how they act. It's not right." Her words caught him off guard, but he smiled warmly. "Thank you," he said. "But don't worry about me. Just remember to treat people with kindness, no matter who they are." The intern couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the janitor than met the eye. She started paying closer attention, noticing small details: the way he seemed to know every corner of the building, how the maintenance staff greeted him with respect, and the way his eyes lingered on the company's financial reports left carelessly on desks. One evening, after everyone had left, the janitor stayed behind, as usual. But instead of cleaning, he made his way to the top floor office. He unlocked the door with a key only he possessed, stepped inside, and sat at the large mahogany desk. For a moment, he allowed himself to relax, looking out over the city skyline. This was his sanctuary, a reminder of the responsibility he carried. On the desk was a folder with the names of every employee in the building. His expression hardened as he flipped through the pages, stopping at the profiles of the 3 bullies. The next day, the company's CEO, whom the bullies had never met, announced an important meeting. "We'll be having a surprise visit from the building's owner next week," the CEO said. "Everyone, be on your best behavior." The announcement caused a stir, especially among the bullies, who suddenly became concerned about appearances. They spent the next few days cleaning up their acts, hoping to impress whoever this mysterious owner was. But the janitor noticed their pretense. They were still the same beneath the surface, their kindness as artificial as their forced smiles. The intern, who had grown suspicious, decided to do some digging of her own. She combed through public records late one night and stumbled upon something shocking. The building's owner was listed under a holding company with a name eerily similar to the janitor's surname. Could it be? She decided to confront him the next morning. When she found him in the lobby, she hesitated, then said, "I know who you are." The janitor looked at her, his face calm but his eyes sharp. "Do you?" he replied, his tone neutral. She nodded, lowering her voice. "You're the owner, aren't you?" For a moment, he didn't answer. Then, with a small smile, he said, "Let's keep that between us, for now." The intern agreed, but the revelation left her in awe. She began observing the unfolding events with a mix of curiosity and anticipation. The bullies, oblivious to what was coming, continued their charade, thinking they were fooling everyone. By the time the owner was scheduled to arrive, the tension in the office was palpable. The bullies had even gone so far as to hire a cleaning service to polish their desks, hoping to make a good impression. They had no idea that the man they had mocked and belittled for weeks was about to step forward and change their lives forever. The stage was set, but the climax was yet to come. The janitor's moment of truth was approaching, and he intended to ensure that the lessons learned would leave a lasting impact. On the day of the big reveal, the office buzzed with anticipation. Employees darted around, straightening up their workspaces and nervously double-checking everything. The bullies, in particular, were unusually well-dressed and on their best behavior, eager to impress the mysterious building owner they'd never met. They stood together in the lobby, whispering about what this person might look like, imagining someone powerful and untouchable, a person whose approval could elevate their status. The janitor arrived as usual, wearing his uniform and carrying his cleaning supplies. He was greeted with quick nods and dismissive glances, as if he didn't belong in this moment of importance. It was a scene he had anticipated, and one that would soon shift dramatically. As he cleaned a corner of the lobby, his quiet movements almost unnoticed, the CEO stepped out of the elevator, looking nervous but excited. The CEO clapped his hands to gather attention. "Everyone, thank you for being here today. It is my honor to introduce the owner of this building. This individual has been an integral part of the success and foundation of our operations, even if they've chosen to remain behind the scenes until now." He turned toward the janitor and nodded. "Please join me in welcoming." The janitor straightened, set down his supplies, and slowly walked forward. There was a beat of stunned silence as everyone in the room processed what was happening. The bullies exchanged wide-eyed, panicked looks, unable to reconcile the man they had mocked for weeks with the person now stepping into the spotlight. "Yes," the janitor said, his voice calm but commanding, "it's me. I am the owner of this building." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The bullies shifted uncomfortably, their confident personas cracking under the weight of realization. The janitor surveyed the room, meeting the eyes of everyone present. He spoke with quiet authority, his words measured but piercing. "For weeks, I've worked among you as a janitor. I wanted to see how this building operated from the ground up, how people treated each other when they thought no one was watching. What I've seen has been eye-opening. Many of you have shown kindness, integrity, and respect for everyone, regardless of their role. But some of you," he said, his gaze falling directly on the bullies, "have not." The bullies' faces turned pale. One of them stammered, "Sir, we didn't know, we didn't mean." The janitor held up a hand to silence him. "You didn't know who I was, but that's the point. You shouldn't treat people with respect based on who they are or what they can do for you. Respect should be unconditional." He paused, letting his words sink in. The tension in the room was palpable, the silence heavy with unspoken remorse and reflection. The janitor turned to the rest of the employees and continued. "This building is more than just walls and offices. It's a community, and how we treat each other defines it. I want this place to be one where everyone feels valued, from the CEO to the cleaning crew. The young intern, standing in the back, felt a surge of pride. She had known there was something extraordinary about the janitor, and now, seeing him take control of the room, she knew her instincts had been right. The janitor turned his attention back to the bullies. "As for you," he said, his tone firm but not cruel, "I could fire you for your behavior. It would be easy to justify, and perhaps it's what you deserve. But I believe in second chances. I'm giving you the opportunity to change to prove that you can be better. Whether you take it or not is up to you." The bullies nodded quickly, their expressions a mixture of shame and relief. "We will," one of them said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you." The janitor stepped back, his role as the building's owner now fully revealed. The CEO, still recovering from the unexpected twist, stepped forward and began to guide the meeting toward more standard topics. But the mood in the room had shifted entirely. There was a newfound sense of unity, a collective understanding that the janitor's words carried a lesson for everyone. Over the following weeks, the atmosphere in the office began to change. The bullies made genuine efforts to amend their behavior, offering apologies not just to the janitor but to their colleagues as well. They volunteered for projects they had previously avoided, stayed late to help others, and even joined the janitor on his rounds to learn about the work they had once belittled. Their transformation wasn't instant, but it was sincere, and their colleagues noticed. The intern, now inspired by the janitor's story and leadership, began to flourish in her role. She found herself seeking out ways to make the office more inclusive and supportive, often working directly with the janitor to implement small but meaningful changes. They became an unlikely team, driven by a shared vision of creating a workplace where respect and kindness were the norm. The janitor continued to maintain his humble presence, occasionally stepping into his role as the owner when necessary but mostly allowing his actions to speak louder than his title. His story spread beyond the building, inspiring others in the industry to re-evaluate how they treated their employees and colleagues. One evening, as the janitor locked up the building, the intern approached him. "You've changed this place," she said. "And you've changed how I see the world." He smiled. "It's not about me. It's about all of us. Never underestimate the impact of your actions, no matter how small they seem. Kindness and respect, they're what hold everything together." As the janitor walked away, his silhouette fading into the dimly lit street, the intern felt a deep sense of gratitude. The story of the janitor who owned the building wasn't just about a man revealing his power, it was about the power of humility, compassion, and the courage to make a difference. And so, the building stood, not just as a workplace but as a testament to the idea that true strength lies not in titles or wealth, but in the way we treat one another. You said.